The sun had barely risen over the carnage in Orlando Sunday morning when the debate over gun control shifted into high gear. Donald Trump on Twitter again kicked it up another notch today when he wrote, quote, "I'll be meeting with the NRA, who has endorsed me, about not allowing people on the terrorist watch list or the no-fly list to buy guns." Trump is making a big break from the Republican establishment, which has not been willing to engage the powerful gun lobby over any kind of restrictions. Trump is on the campaign trail today, holding a rally in Atlanta where he promised he'd preserve the right to bear arms. So why the sudden switch for the presumptive GOP nominee? A couple of recent polls might shed some light on his change of heart. Big picture first, the new head-to-head poll is troubling for Trump. 49% of those asked say they'd vote for Hillary Clinton. Trump is the choice of just 37%. Another poll may reveal part of this problem as well. When asked to say how well the candidates responded to the Orlando tragedy, 36% gave Clinton a thumbs up, while just 25% like what they heard from Donald Trump. More specifically, a resounding majority rejected Trump's call to ban Muslims from entering the country. Joining me to talk about whether Trump's NRA outreach is a potential game changer in the race and in gun policy are Heather Cox Richardson. Heather's a presidential historian from BC, Boston College. Good to see you again, Heather. Boston Globe columnist Scott Lee is also here. Hey, Scott, nice to see you. So, Scott, you excoriate Trump in yet another column today for reiterating his Muslim ban, congratulating himself for his predictions about terror, his suggesting that Obama was sympathetic in some fashion. And you end that little litany by saying it's hard to imagine a shabbier, less serious, more cynical response to a horrific event. Does this not change your mind, saying, I'm going to actually talk to the NRA and see if I can break the logjam? No?
No. I mean, Trump is heliotropic, and he will go wherever he thinks he needs to go politically.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, what is wrong with it? You think about, first of all, how extraordinary it was to have him come to New Hampshire on Monday and suggest that Hillary Clinton wants to allow Muslim terrorists into this country and then wants to disarm Americans. And then he said something along the lines of, so then she takes our guns away, she allows them in, okay guys, have your fun. I mean, acting as though his opponent was somehow complicit in a plan to bring terrorists to the country.
Well, and the president too, but that's not the point. That was Monday. I'm talking about today. He's doing an outreach to an organization which did endorse him, which has been a no-surrender kind of thing. That has potential to be a tipping point, doesn't it? Whether you like him or not, no?
I would doubt very much that Wayne LaPierre and the crazies at the NRA are going to say, yeah, okay, Donald Trump, you want to go here, we'll go there. I just don't see it happening.
You know, he may be right, Heather. And you're all things Republican, you know, from your work. It's almost Nixon to China-esque potential. No, it's not. Why not?
No. The NRA is already on record very heavily over this very incident on Twitter that it's not going to back off at all.
Yeah,
but there's a much larger picture of what's happening right now that I see as a major game changer.
What's that?
And that is the piece you didn't have in your who we approve of and who we don't, is people are very much behind President Obama as well on the way he reacted to Orlando. And what I see is a sea change in the way Americans are talking about what it means to be an American. You've got Trump, who offered a narrative that was exclusive, that didn't want immigrants, that didn't like women, that didn't like people of color, that was very much an older white male vision. And now, because he has so clearly defined that, you have Americans across the board coming out and saying, no, that's not what America stands for.
No, but I understand that.
Us.
But you know, it's almost, I'm not praising him. When you rejected my Nixon to China notion, my underlying notion is the only person who can ever talk to the NRA.
Well, he can talk to them. It's not going to do any good.
Well, what if it turns out he talks to the NRA,
then I'll buy
and then
dinner.
Wait a second, and then he says, I'm going to go to my fellow Republicans in the Congress, because that's not. Why do you reject that notion?
There's no Republican in Congress who's going to listen to Donald Trump right now on an issue like that. He's in the pocket of the NRA.
49 people dead mean nothing. Terrorism related means nothing. See, here's my take on this thing. The art of the deal is his calling card, as we know. Whether it's phony or not phony, that's his notion. If he has the potential, you both think he doesn't, but if he does have the potential to broker even a modest deal, people on terror watch lists can't buy guns. No fly, no buy is the line. Then he lives up to that notion. By the way, I think there's a great risk if he fails, and I assume what Hillary Clinton's going to say, so much for deal-making, Mr. Trump. You don't buy any of this.
No, I don't. Besides that, I don't think that's enough. I mean, I think that's a first step. It's cosmetic. Depending on what...
Cosmetic if he gets them to agree to compromise even this much?
What list are you talking? You're talking about the no-fly list? Are you talking about the larger consolidated suspected terrorist list?
Something. Break the logjam so they can no longer say we never compromise on anything.
The problem with that is what you need is discretion on the part of license granting or permit granting authorities to deny people based on their judgment, their sense of the person, their investigation. And what the NRA has been completely insistent on is blocking any sort of discretion. And I don't think this gives very much. I mean, would it be a quarter step forward? Yes, but would it be the kind of thing we need in this country for gun control?
I don't know if it's the kind of thing.
No.
You said the Republicans aren't going to buy Lindsey Graham, who can't stand Donald Trump. I think that's a safe assumption. Quote, I think it's very smart. What, he doesn't believe that either?
Well, I think it's very smart for Trump to pretend to be talking about this and to be having this sort of an outreach. But first of all, that is a non-starter with the NRA. And second of all, Donald Trump is not going to take the leadership on this issue. Other people have already stepped in to do that. You know, Cox from Utah this morning coming out and going down to Orlando and saying we need to talk about this in a different way. That broke a law.
Suggesting that he was not so good on gay and lesbian issues, and he's now come around.
Well,
let's talk about somebody else who's trying to see if you think this is going to get anywhere. Chris Murphy, United States Senator from Connecticut, and a bunch of Massachusetts people, actually, Ed Markey, Elizabeth Warren, and some other senators as well, are filibustering this appropriation bill and saying until we start debating serious gun control issues. Does that have potential to get anywhere, or is that just a symbolic statement of disgust with the dysfunction in Washington, Heather?
Oh, I think it's huge because the national language has changed. They could not have done that even after Sandy Hook.
But wait a second. That's huge, even though you think the Republicans will never move. But Donald Trump saying, I'm going to talk to the NRA is not huge because they're never going to move. What's the difference? It sounds to me like one person's making a statement that you think is going to lead to nothing, and the Democrats are doing a filibuster that is likely to lead to nothing too, right? Or no?
Oh, no, what I'm saying is something slightly different than what you're saying, and that is that what this is a symbol of, and it is symbolic, but I think it's going to have legs, is the American people are now willing to have a real conversation, not just about gun control, but about a whole range of progressive ideas that they were not willing to entertain as recently as 10 years ago.
These Democrats get anywhere with a filibuster, or is it just a Pyrrhic kind of thing?
Do not know. I think they could. But I just want to point out to you that Donald Trump today in Atlanta was there talking about how the solution to this would have been if more people in the nightclub were armed. So there could have been crossfire, which is the same.
Guess he forgot the security guard at the door was armed too.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to, that's just idiotic. You're not going to have someone bringing that kind of firepower lethality into a club just on a casual basis. That's what he really is offering. Now he's responding because he thinks maybe after a disastrous day or two and looking like a complete fool that he might be able to bring something out of this. But I mean, let's not portray Donald Trump as a guy who's been a paragon of responsibility or trying to get to yes on a difficult issue, because that has not been his history here.
Heather, nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Scott Brown said to say hello, by the way. Nice to see you. Read his column, you'll understand.